Can the word vain kill you? Or what about the word madame? Or affair? There's a small old town between the southwest France and the massive central. Known for its fabric industry, Tulle has dressed both the queens of the Victorian age and the Karlie Kloss models of today's catwalks. But in the summer of 1918, this French town, which had once woven strands around the world, would give rise to something new, something deadly. A man retrieves his mail. In it is a letter with a simple message. Votre femme vous trompe. Your wife is cheating on you. He's shocked, angry, embarrassed. He confronts his wife. She claims she's innocent, but someone, somewhere, must know something she's not willing to say. After all, why else would they have sent this letter? Soon, other townsfolk begin to experience the same. Slander, accusations, falsifications. They catch the attention of local police, who investigate the matter. There are no leads. The notes all use block letters, making them difficult to match to any particular writer. Some are filled with disgusting accusations, others with pornography. Drawings, details. Just what are these? The police are stumped. Months pass and more letters begin to emerge. Things quickly get worse. Several men receive and are driven insane by the letters, suffering nervous breakdowns and suicidal tendencies. The soldiers returned home from the trenches of the First World War only 1 year prior. Sold on the thought of traveling across the world and fighting a noble fight, they instead came up against unrelenting waves of violence, famine, and living death in the form of influenza. Stalked by the memory of those horrors, now though, it seems something else has followed them back from the trenches. The Tulle police force is livid. They set a small army of detectives to work, scanning the letters for any way to identify the writer. One slip-up, one hint. Instead, a pseudonym appears on one of the letters. Then on another. L'œil de tigre, tiger's eyes. The pen name captures the imagination of the townspeople. Bright yellow with sharp slits that could cut through a person's soul. Indeed, they seem to. Like a tiger, each letter strikes from the periphery, pouncing not only on the defamed men and women themselves, but on those closest to them. Rarely now does a person receive a letter directly. Instead, it goes to their spouse, to their brother, their parents, their neighbor, their child, encouraging them to share the letter and, consequentially, its lies. Several women have nervous fits. A clerk kills himself. The years go on and the victims of the poison pen letters continue to grow and grow and grow and grow. And the French government is so alarmed that they take up the matter and charge a magistrate with putting an end to it. Meanwhile, the French Academy of Sciences convenes to address the strange occurrence. Their discussions drag on, becoming heated. What causes would lead a person to write such malevolent and untrue things? Perhaps they could unravel the mystery through Freudian dream analysis, or by the philosophical theories of Bergson. All airy, esoteric solutions, but nothing concrete. Some of the academics, however, openly worry about the letters, believing they might act like a contagion and inspire cruelty in other anonymous writers throughout French cities. And no one is safe. Not ladies, not gentlemen, not diplomats or politicians. If the trend were to ever reach Paris, then the letters might tear the nation apart. Other events of poison pens in places like England and Scotland soon begin to prove them right. The contagion is spreading. Mania. Weak and depraved individuals who receive the letters at times succumb themselves, becoming poison pen writers too, whether for the fame of it or just to vent their own frustrations. Now they are many, and the French authorities are facing a wave of anonymous evil. A climax soon arrives in the form of new pamphlets. Plastered to the doors of Tulle's theater are names of over 14 married men and women, all accused of insidious affairs. The magistrate, whom the government has hired to crack the case, has his suspicions, but he still lacks evidence. Was a special kind of paper used? No, common stock. Are there fingerprints on the letters? One letter taunts him back. Tiger eyes use rubber gloves. Eventually, a writer turns him on to a popular French spiritualist, and with few other options, the magistrate hires the fellow. Sitting in a bland cream-colored room with a professional physician and a student of psychic subjects, the hired medium enters into a trance. In the passing minutes, they attempt to channel the identity of the letter's author. They are written by a young girl. She is the sister of an official in Corrèze. The search is narrowed, and the magistrate reviews his list of suspects. He has an idea of who it might be, but how to match the culprit to their work. The police decide to try something new, and they enlist the help of a mathematician. Dr. Locard of the technical laboratory uses large-scale prints of letters, along with calculations based on the slopes and angles of their strokes, to determine matches with other pieces of writing. Painstakingly, he examines 200 parts of the poison pen letters, and eventually determines that they are written by Angèle Laval, the daughter of the shoemaker's widow. The game is afoot, and the police move in to arrest her, but before they have the chance, the French government steps in. It has become aware that a spiritualist was consulted during the investigation. How had they found out? Had a poison pen letter reached the upper rungs of the French government, or was it the loose lips of an officer? Either way, the inquiry is frozen, with the higher-ups determining the matter unprofessional conduct. Scientists and academics, however, defend the magistrate, since for a time he had suspected Miss Laval, but had had no clear evidence. The medium, they argued, only emboldened him to pursue his hunch. A back and forth ensues. But amidst all this, there's still the why. Why would Miss Laval write the poison pen letters? A closer examination of her work history would yield the answer. In the midst of World War I, when desk clerks had been pulled away to guard the front lines, Angèle Laval had worked in one of the town's departmental offices. There she fell in love with her supervisor. The supervisor, however, had decided to marry another woman, and Angèle was left bitter and jealous. That jealousy, detectives argue, festered, then crystallized into the tip of a poison pen. Arrest or no, Angèle Laval and her mother's reputations are ruined. In small towns, word spreads fast, and the accusations and eventual charges of Angèle Laval make their way to every ear. Urchins throw mud at them when they pass by on the streets. The same venomous tongues that had been turned out by the tiger's eyes now turn in on her, hissing and heckling, enraged by the plague of letters that had brought misery to Tulle for 6 whole years. The two women, criminal daughter and her innocent mother, are despised by their neighbors. Then, on one summer day, they go for a walk, stopping several times because the road is long and the older Laval has trouble moving. On one of their stops, they ask a farmer for milk to drink before going on, and then they continue for a time that must seem to them a little too long. 2 woodsmen find them later, sitting beneath a tree on the side of the road, with one woman dead and the other shaken, having been unable to take her own life too. Angèle looks up and sees the men, and she immediately jumps into the nearby pond and tries to drown herself, but the men pull her out in time. Outcast and ashamed, Miss Laval later flees to a neighboring town, but eventually she returns and agrees to a trial. There she wears a dark mantilla that covers her face in black as she mourns for her dead mother. The penalty is minuscule, a month in prison and a fine of 300 francs. Nonetheless, Miss Laval looks utterly defeated. She has lost everything, from her family to the respect of her neighbors, and in the coming years, she will retreat into solitude at her brother's house, leaving only to stay for some time at a psychiatric hospital. A journalist for the Paris newspaper Le Matin would describe the woman as a poor bird who has folded her wings. At first a paper tiger, now she is only a raven on the Corrèze. There is an alternative theory. An old hag sits in an obscure cafe, or in some drinking den. Jealous of her associates, she pens and distributes a collection of letters. Satisfied, she wanders off and returns to her business, unaware of the fire she's started. When the first letters arrived that summer, and word of the poison pen began to spread, how many neighbors saw in those letters an opportunity that they had never had? A chance to tell others what they really thought of Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, of their perfect little lives and their perfect little spouses, to tell their story without worry or judgment, to hide behind a veil of paper and black ink, and to poison that paper with their deepest, darkest thoughts. The letters of the tiger's eyes were nothing if not a blueprint. In their capitalized letters, they showed how to disguise one's writing. Their vocabulary, vile as it was vernacular, shareable, common. After Miss Laval's trial, a number of medical and legal experts pointed out that if you wanted to arrest a criminal, you'd have to arrest half of the old ladies in Tulle. Well, if one thing stands true, it's this. Tulle was a small community, often dainty and formal in its stature. Its women wore prim dresses, they gowned their hands in tidy white gloves, they attended church, and they always spoke formally. But when hundreds of anonymous letters went out, the fabric of that community, much like the fabric of a dress, began to come undone. And it revealed everything that was underneath the masks those people wore. Say whatever you want, whenever you want, about whomever you want. Just not about me.